Hello, 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 everyone, and welcome to Tech Leaders Hub. So happy to have you with us here today. Whether you're watching live or you're watching the recording, we appreciate you spending some time with Tech Leaders Hub all the same. Welcome to the show. And my guest today is Yakov Becker, CTO at investing.com. Yakov, how are you doing today?
Hi, how are you? Hello to everybody. Happy to be here with you.
Yeah. Yeah, awesome. Very happy to have you here on the show today, Yakov. We have a very interesting topic lined up too about why you should skip team leads in your engineering org structure. I wonder what the opinions are going to be about that in the comments section. Speaking of the comments section, dear watchers and listeners, if you are watching this live, please leave a comment. Let us know that you can hear us, that you can see us. Let us know where you're watching from or what the weather is like or what you had for breakfast today. Just leave us a comment because that's how we know this is all working. So we're going to be waiting for these comments starting now. Please let us know. In the meantime, Yakov, I wanted to ask you, some people are still joining in. They're typing these comments. I can hear them doing it as we speak. How about you tell me, who do you hope is tuning in to this session? Who do you think is going to benefit from this conversation? What kind of person, what kind of role, and what kind of situation?
I think one of the benefit who can benefit is like upper management or somebody who is on his way to their top to becoming CTO or other VP R&D or other position. It's also people that want to become team leads. And maybe also the team lead himself, as everybody, like it's a different perspective on the topic, and many people find it normally interesting and intriguing.
Yeah, I think you mentioned you had a talk about this topic at some point, right?
Yeah, I had a talk on one of the large conferences. The conference was called Team Lead Conference. So it was the entire conference was about how to help people to become team leads, how to grow better team leads, and so on. And then I come with this notion of let's remove the team leads. So I thought maybe I will be kind of killed at this conference, but it was fine, and people was really interested in it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you picked the perfect context to have a talk like that. And I'm very curious about, obviously, the points you were making there, which I assume some of it we're going to be covering here today as well. All right, awesome. Thank you for answering the question of who you hope is tuning in. Definitely, I hope the audience you just identified is tuning in, and many more people besides. If there's one thing I know about Tech Leaders Hub is that even if we are talking about like engineering leadership, this applies to leaders in broader context as well. This session, I think, especially. Sarah in the comments is saying everything is working well. Thank you, Sarah, so much, and thank you for tuning in to Tech Leaders Hub. Very well. So speaking of the show, there's a tradition that we try to stick to with each of our episodes, and that's the traditional Tech Leaders Hub question. Many podcasts and live streams take a long time to get to the point. We're trying to do things differently, and we're starting with a question where we can immediately deliver value. So before the main topic, before your background, Yakov, let me ask you, what is your number one tip for tech leaders?
So I don't know if it's number one, but I think it's a interesting tip that I really suggest you to skip deadlines. So if you do everything possible not to put a deadline for your teams. So because I think it damages more than it brings value, and general belief that deadlines somehow push people for the better performance. But in my experience and view, you can achieve it once or twice, but in general, the damage is enormous. So my tip is, unless you absolutely must, because you have client, you have external deadline, then don't do it. Don't use deadlines, because there are many reasons not to do it.
Wow. Okay, that is an extremely interesting tip. We're gonna have to stay with this one for a second. Yeah, I have follow-up questions.
So there are many reasons, but first reason, let's say you have a fake deadline. Everybody knows what it is. Like there's no real deadline. You put a deadline because you want to push people to spend more time at work. You want them to work harder and so on. So and then they definitely learn in at the end that it wasn't real thing. So you cannot do it twice. You damage your trust. And people like developers, they're extremely smart people, and they know that next time you cannot do the same trick. At least you cannot do it like 3 times in a row or at all. Another thing, if they understand that they are measured by meeting the deadline. So they understand the simple thing. Okay, if we miss the deadline, we will be kind of, punished or whatever. And if we meet the deadline, then great. Then this is the main goal. So they create a buffer in order to meet the deadline in a relaxed manner. So they add, let's say, normally this product development, whatever, it should take, let's say, 2 months, but they put another month and a buffer, because then they think, okay, in this way we will not have a problem. But of course you don't want it, but you have you cannot really control it, so you don't know how much time it will really take. So you stay with the 3 months period, and as we all know, this time will be consumed at full, right? So and this is the first. But also the problem that there is a multiple buffers, because like product will give you 1 buffer, and then it starts with development. Developers will say, it takes 2 months, but we'll save 3. And then product manager, he also knows that there is a deadline, so he knows about the development, and he say, okay, I will add another 2 weeks. Because on top of them, because I know them, they always, you have problems with them. And then there is somebody else, I don't know, delivery, like DevOps guys or whoever. They say, I know this product guy, and I want to add my another 2 weeks. So you end with 4 months, estimation. But as we always know, that the entire month is eaten by developers, because they know that at the beginning of the project that they can be relaxed, so they can do other things. They can cover technical debt. They can do other project, whatever. Okay, and because they understand that the real deadline is 4 months, and then everybody counts with 4 months, and it doesn't help anybody. Like, it's bad quality. It's 4 months. It's a lot of problems. Okay, and by putting these deadlines, you many times, more than vice versa, you delay projects, you create poor quality and distrust, because, like, of course, they invent things which are not real. You know that these things are not real, and like, you want to somehow to push them to bring the real deadline. The whole story is very strange. While you can just ask them to work as hard as possible and to release as sooner as possible, and measure this, and then people really much more engaged and trustful, and there is a better atmosphere in the company.
Wow. Okay. Super interesting. You really knew what to start with here. I'm hooked on this, and I'm tempted to add one more question before we move on. Okay. So, skip deadlines. We certainly did not have an answer like that before. So thank you for adding that in. So what you're saying as an alternative is to ask them to just try to finish a certain part of the work, finish a project just as soon as they are able. Do you think that's a viable alternative? And also, how does that factor into, like, how does that take into account when you have, like, for example, multiple projects? So you still prioritize, but you don't do deadlines, or how does that exactly work?
So first, I think having multiple something is very good. Like, it's another common belief that, okay, we can squeeze 10 projects into one team or whatever, and then from the management perspective, we did our job, like, everybody happy. So because we know this team is actually working on these projects, and we want to believe that everything will be fine, but it is not fine, of course, because you cannot do 10 projects together like simultaneously. And so I think this simple rule of work in progress really works. Like you should limit concurrent work as much as you can, and if it's possible to have one project, then put it as like do something, finish it, and go to the next one. Don't try to run in parallel a lot of things. It's another illusion. Like I think there are a lot of illusions, like deadlines. I think it's one illusion. The running several projects simultaneously is another illusion, and we should somehow not stop doing it.
Okay, understood. Okay, so to the best of the team's ability, one project running at one time and without a deadline, but more so just asking ourselves, okay, how quickly can we get this done? I can imagine it might also affect like the ambition of the team, right? Okay, instead of having this deadline that's kind of forced on us, it's more like, okay, how fast, if we focus and we don't have anything else on our plate, how fast can we get it done while maintaining quality? And I can imagine that makes them take more ownership potentially. Am I feeling
Yes,
this
ownership
right?
is also trust. It's also respect. Like you actually respect people. You say, guys, I respect you. I trust you. I know that you're here not to, you want to be the best. And so I don't want to put artificial deadlines and from outside or demand it from you. Like, okay, so like I want you to commit every sprint, which is all kind of, I think, fine. Like we can work on sprint basis, which is 1 week or 2 weeks time. So yeah, we kind of want teams to commit to something. But speaking about larger things, it can be undefined. And so everybody just shares this notion of, yes, we want to be great and we want to release it faster while maintaining quality. This is, it's important part, but
okay. Well. All right. So that's huge. I don't usually say this long on the number one tip part, but you mentioned something so interesting. I had to dig a little bit deeper into that. Thank you for sharing all of that. We'll put a pin in this for now. Definitely, dear watchers and listeners, if you have comments about this, look, we're here for you. We have a main topic for today, but if there's anything else you're curious about from the things that Yakov mentions, or anything that he might answer for you, then just use that time. It's for you. The comment section is open. Speaking of which, Michał in the comments said just a few minutes back, sorry, I'm only mentioning this now, hello, interesting topic to listen to. So at least some people want to hear about the topic of the session. We'll get to that in just a sec. Before that, well, you just shared a very interesting tip and gave some very strong arguments for it, if I'm honest. So can you tell the audience a little bit about yourself at this point? Who it is sharing this this knowledge about yourself, about investing.com, and briefly about your history before we move on?
Yeah, I am a CTO of CTO of investing.com. Investing.com is the international portal for financial news, data analytics, and tools. So it's absolutely free. Like you can go to the website, or even better to download the iOS or Android apps, and you will find any stock, bond, currency pair, ETF that exists on this planet. Like we have more than 300,000 instruments. So you can the story of the company that like of the product that you can create your watch list, or you create your portfolio and the holdings, and monitor the stock and the industries that you are interested in. You can trade with us. We are not brokerage house, but this makes us like independent, and from the client perspective, we don't give advices. We don't care if you trade a lot, or if you trade you don't trade at all. So by using our product, you can learn about financial markets, about crypto, like everything that moves.
Okay. So that's about the company. Now, can you tell me, I mean, the role of CTO, right? It can have many different variants, many different flavors. It means different things for different people. How do you usually define your role?
Yeah, my role, and I think it's important to understand, and this is my perspective also. I used to have a startup, my own startup, and after this I sold the startup to a large company, and after this I worked at 3 places. This is my third one, and actually I manage the entire process, like from product to development, QA, and DevOps and production and everything. So, and all 3 companies are product companies, meaning that we are not like outsourcing development or project development. We own our own product, and actually it's B2C product in all 3 cases. Maybe in the second case is like B2B and B2C, but we have a lot of clients, millions of clients at investing. So for the last 10 years, yes, I've been managing teams of more than 100, 150 people, actually spread over the Eastern Europe, in Israel and Eastern Europe.
Okay, yeah. So that's obviously very impressive, and it's a very it's hard to get that experience, right? 100, 150 people doesn't happen very, very often. So all the better that you can give us a little bit of your time on this show and share your experience. So one last question before, I mean, this is a question I heard recently that really resonated with me. I thought I would get your answer to before we move on to the main topic of the session. Given what you do, your role, and the company that you work for, what do you love the most about your work and your job?
I personally, but it's me, like I mostly love 2 things, like achieving the goals of the company, like releasing some cool products or features and stuff, and that brings value to clients and to us as a company. I'm really exciting when clients say, I'm really excited, like when clients say, well, it's a cool thing and we really appreciate it. And the other thing, I love seeing people growing. And maybe this is also related to team leads, not team leads, but I really we invest a lot of training in people's career paths and people's growth in general. So I really enjoy some junior developer becoming like an architect or this kind of stuff.
Yeah, definitely. That's super rewarding. As a manager myself, I can definitely say that's one of the best feelings in the job. When you see somebody gaining new skills, taking on new roles, it's amazing. Right, thanks for answering that. And now I think it's high time that we got to the main topic of our session. So as a reminder, or if anybody's tuning in late, well, hello, nice of you to join us. The topic is why you should skip team leads in your engineering org structure, or at least consider that. I was wondering where we could start this conversation. Maybe let me start by asking, when was the first time that this thought actually kind of showed up in your mind, that there might be a different way that team leads can be skipped? Can you tell me what was happening back then when you first thought of this?
Yeah, back then I worked in a large brokerage house, and I just has become a CTO, and we had like 30, 35 people, and we had plans to grow it very fast. Like we were supposed to create a new product, and we were supposed to hire like 100 people in 1 or 2 years. And so actually I went to the QCon conference in London. So if somebody if you don't know, then this is a great conference. QCon, it is in London and in San Francisco, and there is also so it's a very nice conference. And I went to the workshop about architecture because I also was an architect back then, and So I was sitting on this architectural talk, and the host asked us as an exercise to create some product, and he asked, guys, please how would you organize these 3 or 4 teams then you need to build to create this product. And then generally you go with backend, front end, and other stuff. And so I said, yeah, I would create backend team, a front end team, and some other team, mobile team, and I would put a team lead here and here and here, and so on. And then there was a guy from Germany, and he said, no, I would do it differently, and then I would create teamless, self-organizing teams, and I will do it in other fashion, like feature teams. There is no backend, front end, and mobile. I will separate product by feature set and create these 3 teams. And it was so surprising for me that we entered into argument, and I asked him, how can it be like how the team or your team can manage itself? And I thought he kind of illusion, like for me it was an illusion. It was impossible thing. It was something that maybe sounds possible, but in reality you cannot do it. And so something then maybe people plays with it, but it's not related to serious work. It was some very, very strange. So I argued with him for like 30 minutes. And then I came back to Israel, and I started to think about it. Back then, like at this moment, I thought that I'm absolutely right. Like it can be done. It is impossible. And then I thought about, and I started to do research about Spotify and other companies that do this, and I started to think, and then all of a sudden I realized a very simple thing. I realized, I asked a question: who need the team lead? Okay, who need a team lead? Who this person who so much need the team lead? And then I answered, it's me as a CTO, because I need somebody who can provide me with the status. I need somebody to give him tasks. I need somebody that he is ultimately responsible for everything, from hiring to, so it makes my life very easy. Because if there is a problem, then I know who to speak with. If there is production incident, I know what to do. I need to go to this, Pavel, and tell him, Pavel, you need to fix it. If we need to hire, I know who is my hiring manager, and so on. Like everything is absolutely clear. But then I ask myself, like, the team, are they really, is it in their interest? Like, and I thought about myself as a team member. Suppose I'm a team member. Do I need a team lead? And I thought, no, I don't need the team lead. Because like I'm a senior developer, I know what to do. Like, why should I have this manager who tells me what to do and tell me that you will do this task and you will do this task and this sprint you will do this task? Like, why I can? And I remember myself being a senior developer, and I remember that on some point I thought about my team lead, like, why do I need him at all? Like, well, why cannot we just sit together? And then I give normally this example on their conference. Let's say, let's say you are 4 guys that you need to do something. I don't know, maybe do some payment. You need to pay a wall in the office. You're given or do something like this. Okay, will you really decide that one of you will be a team lead? I think no, like it's absolutely insane. Like you are 4 guys who need to do something. I don't know. Let's go with you need to prepare a picnic. So maybe some of you will to do some organizational stuff, but you will not pick them as the manager or your manager. Okay, maybe he will be responsible for orchestration and facilitation. I don't know what. And somebody will bring food, and somebody will cook, and somebody will do something else, and somebody will come with the car. But no, normal people in this situation, they don't think in a way. Okay, we need a manager to do it. Okay, they can somehow manage to do it without the manager. So, and then I started to experiment with this. So I just took a new team without team lead, and I asked them to self-organize. And apparently it wasn't so hard. And what I have seen since that these teams are much happier, have better performance, they have larger involvement and everything, because there is no the single point of responsibility, ownership, and everything, which is team lead. Everybody on the team, they feel this responsibility. Another point is to say, okay, who is the team lead in reality? Okay, so in the reality, if I ask you, for example, who is generally becomes a team lead, a new team? You have a team, there is some situation, maybe somebody left, or it's a new team. As a manager, who we appoint as a team lead?
Okay. Do you want me to answer that?
Yeah.
Okay, I would say, well, often it's the situation that it's somebody who has the biggest seniority, in the sense that they have been at the company, for example, the longest, in the organization the longest. And sometimes it's based on if somebody, and I think I can see where you're going with this. If somebody is a very skilled individual contributor, then okay, you become team lead and teach the rest. That's typical. Am I on the right track here?
It's almost the only way. Okay, this is not typical. It's nobody really think, yeah, he has a management skills, he good with the people, he have very soft skills. No, because it's impossible. You have 4 or 5 people, you need to pick the best developer, and this best developer in most cases was the most senior. Maybe he has wasn't with the company most of the time, he's most seasonal, but they need to respect him, because like developers respect somebody as a manager who is they know that he's a great developer. Okay, so you actually take the best developer out of these 5 guys and say he is a team lead. So, but he is not. He maybe he is excited because it's a promotion for him, and he's understand there is a money, it's a salary raise, and it's a great way to go forward, and maybe he wants to become a CTO one day, and he understands that going through this company ladder is the only way many times, because so he's happy, but he has absolutely no experience, and now all of a sudden he's responsible for all the bugs, for all the planning, for all the architecture, all the design. He's a contact point for the management, and sometimes he's not ready because he don't know how to be a contact point, and he don't know about incident management, and he don't know how to manage people and everything. But we kind of expect from him to do all this stuff, and then of course we have problems. For example, we have issues with the team's delivery quality and everything, and this person tends to do wrong things. Like, for example, because he is the best developer, he starts to write the entire code by himself. or at least the most important part of the code by himself, because he
Yeah.
cannot trust other people. He don't know how to delegate. Delegation is very, people study delegation for years, and he has only 1 month. So he needs to, so instead of delegating stuff, he actually starts writing the entire code by himself. He cannot really mentor people because he has no time to mentor people. He needs to deliver. There is an incident at 12 p.m. or 1 a.m. Time, and everybody, like management, expects from him to raise and to solve it. And he becomes very nervous, and then he leaves because it's practically impossible to do a reversal. Like, you put somebody on the team lead position, and after, let's say, 6 months, we all found out that it was a mistake. Right. And then you can come to this person and say, you're so great, we want you to stay with us, but we go back to become a regular developer, and we will put somebody instead. Like in 99% or 90% in these cases, this person leaves the company. And when he leaves the company, and you don't have a team lead.
And also, because you promoted the most senior developer, you also lost your most senior developer, the most talented developer.
I left it at the end, to the end. And I think that for any CTO, he needs to understand that he just took 80% of his best developers and asked them not to write code. Because the right thing for the team lead is stop writing the code, right? Or at least to reduce it significantly, because now he has so many different roles that he needs to coach people and do the code review with others and design and speak with other teams and speak with the product and sometimes even with the clients. So, and there is the management meetings and hiring and firing and budget, and so he stops writing the code, and he's the best. And your 20% of the best workforce, they don't write code. And I think this is even one reason that you should avoid having a team lead, because the team lead is the best developer, and the best developer doesn't write code. But again, there are so many reasons why it is so hard to raise a good team lead. So you have two paths. First is, let's say, typical and classic path is to invest in the team lead and make sure that he becomes really good manager. It's everybody, I think the entire industry with the team leads, companies with the team, they do this. They invest a lot in these guys, making sure that they are great managers. It's possible. I don't say that it's not possible, but it's a huge investment. It's a huge work, and it costs a lot. Okay. And for example, when these team leads leave the company, theoretically, you should have the replacement in the team. Practically, it never happens, because he is not so great, amazing manager to make sure that he
has a good replacement.
A replacement. Okay, so it's hard to do on this level. Like on the CTO level, you can do it. On the team lead level, it's much harder. Okay. So so I came to conclusion, guys. Maybe we don't need a team lead. We need self-organizing teams with product owners, with developers, QA, and DevOps, which work together, and each one has its own role. For example, product owner, he's responsible for creating backlog, prioritization, and so on. Developers responsible for developing.
Yakov, If I may, I would like to stop you for just a second here. We had 2 comments in the meantime that I would like to address, and I feel like we're
Yeah.
at the right time to address it. Although what you just said and all the arguments you gave, they really resonate with me. Okay, but Michał in the comments has got 2 questions. I'm going to show the question, read it out loud, so that it gets saved in the recording, because we turn it into a podcast later, and then
Okay.
we'll address them. Okay, so Michał, the wait is over. Let me just read it out loud first. So first question, what if the development team argues over what technology they should use? In a self-organizing team, who should decide?
Okay, it's a very good question. Thank you. Like, we still, I missed something, and it's important to understand. We still have managers. Like, there is not that we don't have managers, they are just not team leads. So, for example, currently I have a R&D organization with 60 developers, let's say 15, 17 testers, like the same number of DevOps, and like 15 product owners and other people, designers and data science. So each of these, let's say, professions like DevOps, QA, and developer, they have their own functional managers, because somebody needs to hire people, coach people, fire people, and add. So I have right now 3 directors, which are R&D directors, okay, development directors. They are very good development managers. Each one of them manage 20 people, but they manage people, not teams, okay? This is the difference. So they don't manage a team, and they don't say to the team, do this and don't do this, but they are available for the teams. So what it like this servant leadership goes very well with the self-organizing. So we are leadership, we are management. Our main objective is to help teams to do their job, not to tell them what to do and how to do it, but to help them. So returning to this question, let's team, they argue about what technology should we use. Should we take MongoDB, or should we stay with the MySQL? And MongoDB is so cool, and it's not only cool, but it's really so good suited for the cause. And there is an argument. First of all, good team can finally actually come to some conclusion by themselves, because if they have mutual respect and everything, and you should understand that in any team there are leaders. Like, you have 5 developers, 2 of them are more senior and 3 of them less senior. So this less senior naturally listen to the senior guys. Okay, it happens all the time. But let's say in the situation that they cannot come to conclusion by themselves, they have a help from their functional manager. So their functional director come to them and say, guys, yeah, I understand you have kind of I need, like, my role is to help you to decide. And and so he helps them to decide by sometimes just deciding for them. It's not democracy, okay? It's not, let's agree that this self-organizing team is not like meaning that there is no management and there's no structure and nothing, okay? So this, my role as CTO is example also to make sure that, for example, large things, every team has its own tools, or and for example Linux distribution, which they love, or should we have only one, and because it's there are advantages and disadvantages in both approaches, okay? So it's kind of company policy that it's my role to finally to make it. So it's my, at the end I decide okay, we will run only on CentOS, and that's it. And guys, it's my decision.
Interesting. I love how you put it into words, actually, because sometimes even at STX or during onboarding, I mean, it's no secret that CTOs are often our clients. So part of what I do when new people join is I talk about the role of CTO and what it entails. And I love how you put it into words that, okay, teams or managers might make decisions about like individual projects, but when it comes to company policy, that's where the CTO comes in because it affects the whole organization. I love that. I'm going to use that in the future. So, okay, let's see. We had this question from Michał. We hope it was addressed to your satisfaction. If you have a follow-up, certainly do that. I had a question about functional managers, actually. By functional managers, do you mean that this is like the director of QA, director of DevOps, and they take like one part or one type of role is under their supervision? Or is it more that you have one director per X amount of people? Because I didn't understand the functional manager part.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like in case of normally the QA organization is smaller. So I believe one manager can manage up to 15, maybe if it is stretched, 17 people. Okay. So what is his role? His role is actually to provide them help, hire people, sometimes help teams to fire people, because it's in this structure, it is hard to fire people, because the team itself, even if they know that somebody needs to be laid off, but it is hard to them to do it because they just peers. So we help them to do it. And so, for example, I have a QA manager who manages his QA organization. He might have a director, for example, for automation. Like in our particular case right now, I have a VP testing, like QA, and he has director of automation. So and so together they provide the service for their team. And for example, they're responsible for the quarterly review process, evaluation, and our quarterly review is tuned toward personal growth. Okay, so like they discuss with each and every developer or tester his plans for his personal growth and build plans for him, and I actually help them to go through this plan. Okay, so this is the role of he may decide we go with which QA tools that we go with. Okay, so this is a discussion on his level. And again, we have DevOps manager, we have product manager, head of product, in exactly the same structure. R&D is just larger, and this way we understood that one person cannot manage 60 people. So I have VP R&D who manages, and he has 3 directors, which everyone manages 20 developers, and they this is a like functional thing. One manage mobile because he's a mobile developer himself. Another manage, let's say, for example, backend and frontend. Okay, but not the teams. Okay,
I see. Okay, so the functional managers. Okay, so that answers my question. Definitely, it's like they are mapped to certain functions, like director of QA, etc. But if there's too many of people in a certain function, then you kind of duplicate the role.
You can scale this function at this level, but you don't scale it as in the classic way when you have teams and teams leads, and you have group leads, and you have above the group leads another group leads, and so on. Like it's not hierarchical structure. Understood.
Okay, thank you for contributing that. Then, so now we have actually a second question from Michał before we move on to the rest or to other questions that might pop up in the meantime. I'm not against that. Give us more questions. That's no problem. So Michał's second question is, second thing, if not the team lead, then who from the team should be the first contact to the CTO, for example? I'm actually curious, given everything you said so far. Okay, probably the first contact of the CTO is going to be like the manager or the director. But what about, between the manager and the team, who is the first point of contact? So I'm curious about all of this, actually.
Yeah, and in fact, it is not. Like your intuition is a little bit wrong, because
I see.
And why? Because the team consists of many people, like DevOps, QA, several developers, and they all report to different functional managers. So for me, going to functional manager is absolutely useless, because like it's only 1 or 2 people they manage inside this team. So so instead, let's ask the question, what is the first contact about what? Like if we ask about, okay, yesterday we had an incident, and I want to ask what happened, so then normally I cast the entire team. I just, in Slack, I wrote, we have an entire team, and I say, guys, we had an incident, and I suppose you had a retro already, so please explain me what happened. Or maybe there is an incident right now, and we need to bring somebody. And who we bring? We bring the entire team. We don't bring one person, okay? We bring the entire team. So the team, they know who should come, okay? Because they understand that they don't need to come everybody. Like they understand that one of the QA, and maybe it depends on the team. Like there is because it's the team, many times are functional teams, like they have mobile developers and backend developers in the same team, and this is backend incident. So the backend developer comes to the incident, and so they know by themselves, because they have sense of ownership and sense of responsibility. They with the time, they know who needs to provide this answer. Another important role is product owner. So the product owner is sometimes you can think about as a team lead, but he is not actually the team lead, because he doesn't manage people. He doesn't hire. He doesn't give them the raise or bonuses and nothing. Okay. So, but his role is very important, because actually he creates a backlog. He creates some kind of prioritization together with the team. But still, he's I think every team has leaders. Okay. So the product owner is, as I always explain to them, like you are leader by definition. If you must be leader. Product owner cannot be just a product owner. He must own the leadership. For the other person on the team, you may be, you may not be. Like if you a leader and you take this responsibility on you, we recognize it and we appreciate it. If you don't, then fine. Okay. So successful teams, they have normally like at least 3 guys who are really represent them. So from my point of view, I know who to go to the team. So I know them by name. I know that I have a product owner, and I know this developer, which is always raised to the and answer questions. And I have this QA guy who also is very, very important. Like, of course, you have Scrum Master, and it's also like informal leadership role. So
that's what I'm hearing. It's more in the favor of informal leadership and people kind of choosing to be leaders to the extent that it makes sense for them, showing their own initiative. Again, it brings to my mind this is something that's kind of that they choose and reach out for instead of it being imposed on them.
And it's also interesting. They provide them interesting flexibility, because when you team lead, you are team lead. You cannot be. It is impossible that you are team lead this quarter and you are not team lead next quarter. But if you're great developer, so this quarter you really want to take more on yourself. You want to become my point of contact and many things. Okay. You want to speak with the clients and you to promote. And next quarter, for some reason, I don't want to be family stuff. Maybe I don't know what you want to have a little bit quieter life. Okay. So you can allow this, like and I see a lot of examples. I see people like shine on one quarter, and another quarter I see what happens to him, and then we find out that there is a reason why he has become a little less active, because like it's his decision, and they know that we appreciate we actually our bonus structure is built on your activity and everything, but it's not like a must. you can
Mm-hmm.
if you want, like for example, these days with war and everything, people war on the move many times, and
Yeah.
depending so sometimes when people on the move, they just cannot be leaders. It's impossible. They want to be supported, so somebody else on the team can from Israel, for example, can be a leader during this time, and give them quiet time while he moves with his family, open bank accounts, and all this crazy stuff. And
Right.
so it provides flexibility and other things.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Wow. What I like about this, in trying to envision it, is that it not only spreads the responsibility a little bit more evenly, but it also gives everybody an opportunity to try their hand at leadership, to actually start gaining these skills in a more organic way instead of, from one day to another, okay, you're a leader now, so that's what I really like about this approach. And I had two more follow-up questions, and I have a feeling we'll be like near the end of the session, which is
Okay.
incredible to me that it went so fast. So one question was about the product owners. So if there isn't a team lead kind of above them in the structure, how do and maybe I'm asking a super basic question, apologies if so, but I'm still going to ask it. How do the product owners know how to prioritize the backlog? Where do they get this input from? Is it from in this case, like director of product or VP of product somehow, or
Yeah.
how is that
Normally,
organized?
yes, from there. Like, main prioritization comes from their business needs. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
the business needs are represented by director of product, by in our case by myself, because I'm kind of CTO that manage products as well. But it is not so critical. I mean,
I see.
yeah, there is a business needs, but also there is a technology needs which you should combine sometimes. So yes, we sit together with the team and discuss, okay, the prioritization, because like 70-80% it's a product prioritization, but 80% it's technological prioritization. Like, for example,
Right.
we cannot leave the technical debt unfilled, and or we should first do something preparation on technological side, and on this end we can do features and all kind of stuff. So
And actually, so how are these decisions made? Because you've got the product owner, and they discussed with the director of product. Let's say, okay, this is important for the business. Then you've got the technical people on the same team. They discussed with their functional manager on the tech side what's important. How do you decide that, okay, this time around we're going to do like 80% focus on product,
yeah,
20% on
but
tech?
you should understand that the main unit is team and not everything else.
Yeah.
It's not
Okay.
the entire structure that the, the entire other people like managers, product director, their role is to help the team to take right decisions, not vice
Okay.
versa. So
Okay.
we say to the team, guys, please come with the plan. And if you struggle because you are not so senior and we are more senior and we have more experience, we will help you with the plan. But we expect the team to come with the plan, and then this culture of collaboration, when people come to the company, they understand that product owner shouldn't fight with the development, because there is always they and us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in many companies, us, we are developers and they are product. And here us is a team number one, and it's us, and there's another team. There is they and us problem, but from my point of view, it's a smaller problem, because
Okay.
you cannot avoid it, because it's always it's in human nature to say this is we and this is somebody else, okay, and we are good and they are not so good, but we is a team. It's not the developers, the QA, the DevOps. No, the main team you are belong to is your team. So you don't argue with your product owner, because it's like you are together
Yeah.
to solve problems.
Yeah.
And you may argue with other team because they provide you, I don't know, with the backend API, and you consume it. And okay, so our like crisis management or conflict are more between teams and not inside the team.
I understand. Okay, so it's basically what we've arrived at is the teams are cross-functional. It's cross-functional, self-organizing teams.
Feature
instead
teams in most cases.
Feature.
Not
Feature teams.
every time.
Okay. Wow. And I think you've shown a whole range of beautiful arguments here that show that this approach can work out very well. And I have to say, certainly I had some ideas in mind of what about this, what about that scenario. You've had an answer for everything thus far. So I'm really believing the vision that you set out here. Very well. And we've got like 5 minutes on the clock left. Look, final question about the topic. Is there anything else that you wanted to add here that I failed to ask about and you would like to throw in before we start saying our goodbyes?
Yeah, I should say that while I really believe in it, there are limitations of this approach. And for example, if you have a lot of junior developers, I don't think that more than one junior per team can survive in this structure, because if you have like 3 juniors, so entire development is junior developers, your firm is built in this paradigm, then you need to have a team lead who is actually the mentor and the coach and everything. Okay, so I don't think it's possible. It's also senior people tend to learn how to work together, and junior people it's harder for them. Okay, so I think having one junior we can allow per team, but not more. If you grow very fast, like you create team, like you need to create 20 teams next month because like your company goes up, and it's very hard to create 20 self-organizing teams, because you spend like 6 months creating the team. Like it's a lot of work. The team doesn't work from the first sprint. Okay, so it takes at least several months in management attention, so people connect one to the other, trust one, respect one the other, and works. So of course it is easier to create team with a team lead, and if you need to create 20 teams, just you don't have time for this. Or if you're in a crisis, like everything is absolutely bad, okay, so you're in a huge crisis, you need a full control from the top to the bottom by CTO, otherwise everything will fall apart. It's also impossible to have a self-organizing team. It will not work. Okay, but in a peacetime, it works. In a peacetime, in a relatively stable situation, when you don't create, like you don't multiply your company size every 6 months, and you don't have a lot of juniors, I think it's the best structure.
Awesome. Okay, well, thank you for adding that. Certainly that must have been a question on people's minds, like when does it not work? Because there's no silver bullet, there's no one size fits all solution. Thank you for adding that. Yeah, and well, that brings us basically to the end of our session.
Time flies, yes.
Yeah, it does. So I wanted to ask you at the end, first of all, I wanted to thank you so much for sharing everything that you shared today. It was amazing to listen to you, honestly, and very inspiring. So at the end of this session, do you have any announcements for our audience? Do you need to go somewhere, click somewhere, apply, anything that you would like to share?
No, I really think that these days more and more people want to become to manage their money by themselves and not to give them to somebody else. And I think investing.com is a great place to start. Like this is free, and lots of information. So I really encourage you to download the apps and go to the website and enjoy the free tools that are there, and think about how can you manage your money by yourself. And have all this as advice and instruments and tools and data for you.
Okay, awesome. So, dear watchers and listeners, go to investing.com to learn more about that. In the meantime, maybe some of you are learning about STX Next, the company that is bringing you Tech Leaders Hub for the first time. If you are learning about us for the first time, very briefly, what we do is we help companies build products and build software in general. So if you want to build software faster and better, if your tech stack is based on Python, JavaScript, .NET, and you're looking for a partner that can give you basically end-to-end development from design through development to deployment with machine learning, DevOps, data engineering, whatever else you might need on top, then we can be a great partner for you. For that, sdxnext.com is where you can go to find out more about that. For more Tech Leaders Hub, go to techleadershub.com. The best way to actually stay in touch with us is just to follow SDX Next on LinkedIn. This is where we stream the most. This is where we post the most. We are also sharing posts from different people around SDX Next who are worth following, including actually our new CEO, Ronald Binkowski, who just joined in January. So you might want to check that out by following SDX Next. Last but certainly not least, if you're a CTO listening to this, or you know a CTO that you might send something to, we are currently running the 2023 Global CTO Survey. Go to thectosurvey.com. That's thectosurvey.com to fill out the survey. We're still collecting responses. We will be for a few weeks, but it's going to be closing soon. So please give us your response so we can prepare a very insightful report for CTOs around the world. And phew, that was like 3 pitches, one after the other. But I hope some of you are going to understand, are going to remember that and going to do these things. Thank you ever so much. It really helps my KPIs. Okay, so Yakov, thank you again so much for attending Tech Leaders Hub, for being our first guest in 2023, actually. I should have started with that. And everybody else, watchers and listeners, hope you enjoyed the show. We have another one coming up same time next week. Check out SDX Next on LinkedIn and you'll find the event there. And that's it from me. Yakov, anything else to add before we go offline?
Yes, it was great to be there. Jakub, thank you very much. And
Sure.
yeah, it was a very, very, very interesting session.
Yeah, it was a pleasure, certainly. Okay, everybody. So we'll see you in a week. In the meantime, take care, everyone. And yeah, let's see each other then. Bye-bye. Clicking and broadcast.
Bye.